How do you defy life? By standing out from the crowd, living life on your own terms, being unapologetically you. Say it all with Defy Life gear. Stylish apparel and accessories for men, women, and kids. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, bags, outerwear, and more. Visit DefyLifeGear.com for all of your Defy Life gear. And remember, your lifestyle should always be defiant. DefyLifeGear.com.
The following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
But when you are a guard and you can pull off from 30, there is very little that can be done with you. And that is the case with Stephen Curry. He don't need help. He don't need screens. He can create his own shot off the dribble.
Yeah. Ooh, Coach put me in the game. I can hit the shot from half court. MVP of all sports. Coach put me in the game. You know I'm the truth on the field. Pad up. Competition know the deal. Coach put me in the game. Woo. Yeah. Coach put me in the game. Coach put me in the game. Welcome to the Coach Staley, Coach English Show. Ghoulish gang. Coach put me in the game.
Welcome back to the Staley in English Show with Coach Kurtz. I'm your man, Coach English, and once again, we are here, brought to you by Defy Life, brought to you by the Go Defy Life. Go ahead and visit www.godefylife.com for all your content, podcasts, and everything else you might need. You can catch the Staley in English Show on everywhere that podcasts are given for free. Hey, man, big announcement at the end of the show. Just to let you know, we're going to give a big announcement at the end of the show. The other fellas on the show don't even know yet, so it's a surprise to them as well. But first, as always, we start with our roundtable, just going around seeing how everybody wants. Once again, to our listeners, Happy New Year. And let's start with my man Josh. Happy New Year, Josh. How was your holiday?
Yeah, Happy New Year to everyone. The holiday was blessed. Didn't do too much, stay home, kept it domestic. We in basketball season, so you don't get to travel too much over the holidays unless you're traveling with your teams. But all is well, man. Blessed to see another year, and we're just going to keep going one day at a time, one step at a time. How things going with you, Micah?
Yo, living the dream. Excited about 2019 for sure. Excited about everything going on with this year. Excited to be on another podcast with you. But I do have a small beef, I guess, with Coach English. I mean, shout out to Go Defy Life. Shout out to our man, Gare Glimpse. But I mean, all I see is Coach E on these Instagram pictures modeling all this Go Defy Life gear. And I mean, I don't know about you, Josh, but I don't have any of that gear. So, well,
all y'all got to do is wait for your Christmas gifts, man. I got Christmas gifts. I got Christmas gifts for you guys. We got to cool out, man. I had to wait. I had to buy it. I got you. You're going to have your gift. I got you.
It's not Christmas anymore, but all right.
But, bruh. Well, first off, Josh, I'm already salty with you anyway. So, and we're gonna get to that when it gets to my turn to talk about how my holiday was, because I'm already salty with you. So, and we'll
go
get
ahead,
to that.
man. Go ahead, finish, Micah.
That's all I got, and then I am excited, ecstatic, honored to have one of my best friends, one of my biggest mentors, one of the greatest coaches that I have ever been blessed to be around and to work with, Coach Andy Hallett, the head baseball coach of the 6-time state champion AC Flora Falcon baseball team. He's on the show with us today. So what's up, Coach Hallett?
Hey, Micah, great to be here, man. First time around the cast. I'm excited to be here and really looking forward to the discussions that we got going forward.
Good deal. So how things going with you, Coach English?
I mean, I had a pretty okay holiday. It didn't start so great because one of my best friends, well, I consider him one of my best friends, beat me. He beat my team in the Phenom Classic. One of my good friends, Josh Staley, beat my team in my absence, and I figured since I wasn't there that he might have took it easy on us, but of course not. You know, Josh does what he does and just goes out and beats people and beat my team and kill my team morale. I'm just saying, I felt kind of bad and salty with him about that, but you know, other than that, I've had a great holiday, man. So
we definitely didn't kill your team's morale, man. We definitely didn't do that. But it was a good game.
Yeah, I wish I was there. I wish I was there for it. I got a chance to watch it. But it's been it was a great game. It was a great back and forth game. And then, you know, Josh pulled it out in the end there. So you got a great team, Josh, and I wish you guys the best of luck going into region. How'd you guys do Friday night?
We played Aiken. We were able to pull it out. Aiken was playing. They're playing a lot better. They started off a little rough, but they just won a Christmas tournament out in Clover. They were on a 4-game winning streak, so we were very fortunate to get out of there with the win on the road on a Friday night in a hostile gym. Darius is doing a very good job with that program, so shout out to those guys. We were fortunate enough to get a W. I went. So did y'all play? Y'all played Friday as well? How did y'all do?
Yeah, we played against Marlboro County, man. And anybody who hasn't had the opportunity to see those guys, they are an extremely athletic, well-coached team. I think they're young. So I think if not this year, I know this year they're going to give some people in the region fits, maybe even in the playoffs, because our region's kind of tough, just as yours is, Josh. But they're extremely athletic and they never quit. I mean, we had them down 20 and we ended up only beating them by 7. And that's not because we called the dogs off. That's because they kept fighting. They are an extremely formidable team. So we got Wilson on Tuesday. So hopefully we continue with the little winning streak we on. But moving on a little bit for the announcement real quick. We have now been submitted to Pandora. So we're waiting to hear back from Pandora, but it's looking like we're going to be approved, and you'll soon be able to find the Staley and English Show with Coach Kurtz on Pandora. So and then that'll kind of finish out every single possible medium that the Staley and English Show could possibly be on. We'll be on every single podcast platform. So once again, it's been a great time with you guys. 2 years, going on 2 years and running. And I mean, we can't, I wouldn't rather be doing it with 2 other guys. So, let's get into the, current events. And you know, there's only one event really want to talk about, and that's the national championship tomorrow. Josh, Kim from the Lynn and Kim show was on as a visitor. I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and you gave your predictions that it would be Oklahoma and Notre Dame, and she made it a point to say that, to tell Josh that he was wrong. I said, well, very rarely is he wrong, but on this one he was. So, what's your pick, man? What do you think about? First off, what do you think about? Did after watching that game, and I'm putting this out there, I want everybody to answer this question. After watching those first 2 games, did they get it right by the 4 that they put in?
As far as them getting it right, obviously Alabama and Clemson were the right pick. I mean, as far as what Kim said, I mean, I know I picked Oklahoma and Notre Dame to win. Did I believe those picks? No, but I just felt like going against the grain because I knew everyone else was going to pick Clemson. And obviously, I didn't bet on the game because I knew what was really going to happen. I for sure, I think they got the number 1 and the number 2 picks right. But after that, it's kind of like up in the air. Like you can make arguments all day that Ohio State should have got in instead of Oklahoma, or someone else should have got in. Georgia should have got in instead of Notre Dame. But at the end of the day, Notre Dame was undefeated. No matter how weak you say their schedule was, or they're not in the conference, they won all the games they were supposed to win. And I do think the two best teams in the country are playing for the national championship. So no matter how we got to it, the two best teams in the country are playing for the national championship. So I don't really have any gripes about anything. So who's my pick to win it? Man, I'm going to – this time I'm going to go with who I really think is going to win. I think Alabama's going to win it this time. Why I think Alabama's going to win it? Who's out? Who is out? Who is it? Christian Wilkins? Is he the one that's out? That's not playing?
No.
Lawrence. Is his last name Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
Oh.
No, Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback.
Quarterback.
Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence. Yeah, so not Wilkins. I apologize for that. Dexter Lawrence is out, and as much as I love Albert Huggins, he's a hometown kid, man, and I hope he holds it down. But he doesn't just clog up the middle like Dexter Lawrence. And I know Alabama is going to really, really take advantage of that with those monsters they got up front. And they're going to expose them in that area. And that's not a slight on Albert. I think he's a very good player, and I think he's going to have a chance to play on Sundays, God willing. But I just think Dexter Lawrence was a freak of nature, and he could have changed the game individually on his own as far as their run to make them more of a perimeter based running team. But with Tua basically healthy and the way that running game is going to look and all of the pressure on a freshman quarterback, I say Alabama should win it where from 13 to 17 points. That's my pick. Who you got, Coach Hallett?
Wow, Josh, big scores. I tell you, I gotta go with Alabama. You watch the NFL playoffs, rookie quarterbacks in the playoffs. It's a different world when you get to that level, and I think that Saban is going to have something special for a freshman quarterback. I think Trevor Lawrence is probably going to win the Heisman for the next 2 years. But I think in this one particular game, I got to go with Nick Saban and his defense to do something to Trevor Lawrence that he just hasn't seen. No score prediction for me, though. I'm just going to take Alabama by 1.
That is a score prediction. I'm sticking with 13 to 17. Go ahead, Michael. Who you got winning?
Me? I mean, I'm going to say right now, like what you said, where Coach English's first question was like, hey, did the college football playoff committee get it right? And I don't know if they got it right with those top 4, but they definitely, the top 2 teams in the country are playing for the national championship. And I was just reading an article that said the Tigers' record over the past 4 seasons is 53-4. And Bama's record over the past 3 seasons is 55-3. I mean, those 2 teams are hands down the most dominant teams over the past 4 years. And Alabama is a couple plays, 1 play away really from playing for their 4th consecutive national championship, which is crazy. Nick Saban, I am a fan of greatness. I'm a fan of guys and coaches who prepare their teams at the utmost to have these teams the most prepared and the most consistently great teams. And that's what Nick Saban does. And Dabo Swinney does it as well, but Nick Saban is just a little bit better. And so I got to go with Nick Saban. And like I said on the beginning of this show, I mean, I'm blessed to have one of the guys who I think is one of the greatest coaches around, which is Coach Hallett. And he reminds me a lot of Nick Saban. So I'm going to go with guys who consistently prepare their teams for greatness. I'm going with my man Nick Saban, who reminds me of my guy Coach Hallett in Alabama. Roll Tide, baby. Even though I love Dabo and my boy Denzel, who plays for them.
Did you just say Roll Tide? Did you just say Roll Tide? Roll Tide?
I did. Did I stutter?
No, you can't do that. You're not an Alabama fan. You can't say Roll Tide. So that's kind of like blasphemy.
Why? I'm a fan of greatness.
Yeah, okay. All right, man. Coach E, who you got, man?
No.
You know what?
No, you can't just brush that under the table. Like, if I root for greatness and I respect Nick Saban just because I'm not like a die-hard Alabama fan, I can't say Roll Tide.
No, you can't say Roll Tide because it sounds a little bandwagonish. It sounds bandwagonish. So it's
the criteria for saying Roll Tide.
Be a real Alabama fan.
What?
It's just that simple. It's that simple.
No, don't try and brush this away. What is a real Alabama fan?
Somebody that likes Alabama. You're a Buffalo Bills fan.
I'm a fan of greatness.
Yet a Buffalo Bills fan.
Man, my fault.
You're a fan of greatness, yet a Buffalo Bills fan.
But he's a fan of greatness. He can cheer for whoever he wants. You're right. Why punish yourself? Why punish yourself? Like all winners.
I grew up loving the Bills, but I do respect the New England Patriots for sure because I respect greatness.
I feel you, man. I'm the same way. I like whoever wins too. Coach E, who you got, man?
I guess I'm gonna make it a clean sweep, man, and go with Alabama. I just think they're clicking on all cylinders right now. And I just think they're probably one of the teams that's hard to stop, and it's hard to score on them, man. That is an NFL team playing college right now. And like you said before, like they're just been extremely dominant. As you said, Micah, they're one play away from playing for their fourth consecutive national championship, and that's amazing, to do in this day and age. I
do got a beef though.
Huh?
I do got a beef though with the Final Four.
What's the beef?
As a coach of a competitive team, I want every team to play on the same level. That means if I'm a 5A school, I should win a 5A state championship. If I'm a 4A school, I compete against 4A teams for the state championship. Well, in college football, every team that plays for their conference championship should have the right to play for the national championship.
I agree, Coach Hallett.
When you sit at home and don't even have to play a game to get an opportunity to play for the national championship, that means you're not playing on the same level as everyone else in college football, and that's wrong.
I completely agree, Coach Hallett. I agree. They said that I read somewhere that they were talking about that being the prerequisite for teams getting in is they have to have played in a conference championship to qualify for the tournament. Now, I got another question. Do you think expanding it would make it better, would make it more fair, or should they just contract it back to the top two? I would go with.
Well, I definitely think it would be fun to watch, and it would definitely give us something better to watch than the bad bowl games that we get at the start of the season.
To contract, you talking about to contract it?
If they expand it to 8?
If they expand it to 8, I don't see, but if they expand it to 8, now we're not getting 1-4. We're getting 1 versus 8. And if 1-4 is a blowout, 1 versus 8 is going to be bananas. Like who's watching that?
Well, I remember back in 1984, I think, on April 1st, a team called Villanova shot 74% from the field and beat the mighty Georgetown Hoyas.
Tis true.
I watched every second of that game.
See, I'm gonna say this though, Coach Hallett. I think in basketball, I think parity it's a lot easier to get parity in basketball than in football. I think that there's a better chance of the game just swinging your way. I think sometimes in football, the team can be just dominant. Like,
Coach
okay.
E, the South Carolina Gamecocks made a game out of it against the Clemson Tigers, and we're nothing but average right now.
Okay, I'll give you that.
All you got to do is throw a couple up, run 80 yards, and the next thing you know, you got 21 points.
Okay, you're right. But let me ask you this, Coach Hallett. Last year, now I coach at Hartsville, and I'm a fan of those boys. I knew they had absolutely no chance against South Point in the state championship last year. There was no chance anybody was beating them boys last year. Like this year is something different. But I just think sometimes the teams are just that much better. And I mean, can't anybody say they see anybody beating Bama? Now, does Clemson have a chance? I think if anybody does, it's Clemson. But although we all swept this whole situation, I just don't know if expanding it makes it better. But except for more blowouts. I think you end up with better games in the middle, but I just think 1-8 and 2-7 probably become wider margins of victory rather than making it more fair.
Well, I just think that it gives, because let's just be honest, the NCAA is about two things, and that's winning
and money
and making a lot of money. So win games and make a lot of money. Well, what do a couple extra games do for you? They make a lot of money.
No, 'tis true. 'Tis true. 'Tis true. 'Tis true. Well, that's man. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I have to agree there. But we're gonna start off with our interview with Coach Hallett here, and we're gonna start with Micah. Coach Kurtz, you got your good friend and mentor on the line. Let's get to it.
Yeah, I'm excited about something that I've been trying to get on the podcast for a little while. Coach Hallett, he's not only one of my good friends, he's not only one of the best coaches around. I mean, I think he's one of the best leaders around. And a little bit of background, I think this is going to be an awesome show for the majority of our listeners are probably coaches and parents in the South Carolina, in the state of South Carolina. So if you don't know about him, I'll give a little background. I don't know, Coach Hallett, I don't know if I have this completely updated, but Coach Hallett's about to enter his 22nd season as the head coach, the head baseball coach at AC Flora High School. And he's compiled a record of 458 and 181 for a 716 winning percentage. He's won 14 region championships, 14 district championships, 4 lower state championships, 4 upper state championships, and 6 overall state championships. So welcome to the show. Excited to have you on, Coach Hallett.
Well, Mike, I appreciate it. When you say it like that, I'm sounding that it sounds good on paper. when you hear it out loud, you don't really talk about it that much inside your circle. But it's been a great experience for me at AC Flora. We've been more than fortunate to be successful on a state level for a really long time, and I've been blessed to have players, coaches, and people I work with, just like you, for 10 years that make Falcon baseball what it is today, besides just myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I want to make this, I don't want to make it just like a straight question and answer interview session. So obviously we got me, Coach E, Coach Staley, and we're all going to have our own insights and questions for you. We sent you a little list of questions, and who knows where the discussion is going to go from there. But one of the things that I've been really impressed with you. I remember this was like 6 years ago, I guess, 6 or 7 years ago, when Coach Howell, our former football coach, was very successful. He left to take a athletic director and football job, and I put my name in for the head football job at AC Flora, and I was talking to you about some interview questions and advice. And I mean, I remember just sitting down with you for 15, 20 minutes in the upstairs gym and asking some of your thoughts on coaching style and philosophy. And I mean, and just the way you explain stuff and your philosophy and your overview on coaching is common sense, but brilliant, and it makes so much sense that I just like, if you wouldn't mind, just talk to me about a little overview about like your overall coaching style and your coaching philosophy.
Sure. Actually, it's ironic because 23 years ago when I interviewed for the job at AC Flora, I was young. I was 27 years old. I'd never been a head coach before, and I sold to athletic director Bob Reynolds on the fact that I was going to build the best baseball team in the state of South Carolina because we were going to be the most disciplined and the most fundamental team on the field. And Bob just looked at me and I said, I promise you, we will be the most disciplined and fundamental team every time we step on the field. So it's been something that even before I was a head coach, it's something I knew that if you weren't disciplined and you weren't the most fundamental team, you were never going to win. And when I say win, I'm talking about championships. So it's something that I started even when I was 27 years old, knowing that you had to have people on the same page and they had to know what they were doing. Too many times in athletics, I firmly believe that coaches try to overload the plate of their players to the point where their players know some of the stuff they're supposed to know. Well, I don't believe in that. I believe that if your players don't know that 2 + 2 is 4, you can't ask them to go on to 2 × 2. So we literally pound things into our players daily to the point where that I know that when I ask them a question, they can literally answer it. Like when I asked you the question, Micah, what's 2 + 2? 4 comes out of your mouth without hesitation or reservation because you don't have to think about it anymore. So in order for your team to be the most fundamental and the most disciplined, they have to have structure, but they also have to know what they're doing. And it's not just like some of the time, but your kids have to know what they're doing on every pitch of every inning of every situation that comes across. So our program is really fundamental. It's really boring, I guess, if you would come and watch us practice, because we don't do a lot of things differently. We're very structured when it comes to our schedule time. And I just think that it's been a great formula for me and our program to stay disciplined and fundamental in everything that we do.
Well, let me ask you, like, so you've obviously been very successful, but it doesn't happen overnight. And your core values you talked about were being disciplined and sticking to fundamentals. So, how challenges have you faced with parents or with your athletes about just
you broke up on the first part of your question.
So my question is, you're very successful and it didn't happen overnight. What are some of the challenges that you have faced of really trying to sell being disciplined and sticking to fundamentals to the parents and to the players that may not fall in love with that, where that's not the sexy part of sport?
Absolutely. It's really easy, actually, is that when you're a head coach, you have to draw a line in the sand and say, this is what I stand for. I don't care if you're the superstar. I don't care if you're Michael Jordan or if you're Jimmy Black. You know, you're going to be held to the same rules inside of my program. And if you cross this line, you're going to have to be punished. And I think that when you draw a line in the sand, if you don't ever move it and you hold all your players to the same level, then they all realize that it doesn't matter who you are or what you do, you're going to get treated the same way. So right from the beginning, I've been able to draw a line in the sand for what I believe in and what the program's going to stand for, and I've never wavered on it. Too many times coaches are afraid to lose a game. So they're afraid to sit one of their best players. They're afraid to discipline their best player because they know they got a chance to lose that game without him. I've never been afraid to lose a game. If it means I got to lose a game because one of my players can't play because he can't follow the rules of the program, then we'll play with who wants to do the right thing. And I think inside our program, that was really evident right from the start, and our kids have bought in ever since.
Yeah, I love that. So give me some advice for young coaches that, I mean, obviously it's easier. I mean, I know just from firsthand experience being around you, you've won 6 championships, and that doesn't mean that everything runs smoothly. You still have administration and coaches and parents and players challenging you. But it's a little bit easier because of so much success that you have had. So give me some advice that you would give to young coaches who want to implement this type of structure to their team and maybe haven't experienced the same success that you have, what advice would you give to those coaches?
The first thing I would tell you is that the level of expectation that you have for your kids, they're going to raise to whatever you set. Well, at AC Flora, even from the very first day I got there, I told them we're here to win championships. That's what we're going to do. So the level of expectation from the first day I got there was that we're going to compete for state championships. So I've never lowered the bar of what my expectation is for my program. No matter if we've lost 13 seniors like we did in 2014,
PSA for all
matter.
listeners.
We're
My
still
name is Alvin Glenford. I'm one of the hosts of Public Sports Announcements.
And sure enough, we made it back to the
discuss,
upper
debate,
state
and
final. We're in
update
the
our
Final
fans
Four
on the
again
most
with a whole new
relevant
team.
sports topics of the day.
But your
PSA is
expectation
fun,
level
young,
has
and most
to stay
importantly,
high.
we know our sports.
The
Come
biggest
listen to
thing
our
I would probably
episodes. They
tell a
drop
young
every
coach
Thursday,
is to
and you can
don't
listen
get
to us
caught
on
up
Go
in the
Defy Live
outside
and
noise.
SoundCloud.
There's so
You'll
many
be hearing more from
distractions
us this
outside
Thursday.
defense nowadays, from social media to everything that happens in the newspaper to the parents outside defense saying you don't know what you're doing. You have to literally have the thickest skin on the planet to be a young coach who doesn't have wins under their belt, because everyone's going to doubt you every single time you lose a game, every single time you make a substitution, every single time you take a pitcher out and it doesn't work out. It's because you are young and you didn't know what you were doing. Well, once upon a time, myself, I was 27 years old and didn't know what I was doing. Just like Josh was a first-time head coach, and you're going to be a first-time head coach, and everyone that's going to be a first-time head coach, you're going to make mistakes. That's how you get better. But in today's world, you don't get the right to make a mistake anymore because of the pressure that's outside the fence.
I agree. That part about like having to make every decision is so important, because you gotta have everyone on the same page, because if everyone isn't believing in the decisions that are made, it's going to ultimately affect your program. And that goes back to being disciplined, being on the same page, having everyone bought in. If not, you don't need to keep those guys around, because in sports, if someone tells you it's always going to be creamy and hunky-dory, they're lying to you. It's going to be adversity in sports. It occurs. But when you go through adversity, you get out of those moments and you get better through those moments when everyone's fighting together and not fighting against each other. So it's huge. You're right. You take that pitcher out, someone's going to be like, why is he taking him out? He had at least 30 more pitches in him. So, it's always going to be someone doubting it, but you got to make sure you got your guys on the same sheet of paper as best as possible.
Well, adversity in team sports is what makes it great, because you have to be able to depend on your brothers. In baseball, it's a team game dominated by individuals. Well, it doesn't matter how good a pitcher I am. If our shortstop can't field the ball and throw it to first, then it doesn't really matter. So adversity is probably the greatest thing, Josh, you just said, is it forces you to face it and you learn from it or you run from it. Those are your two choices.
Exactly. What are your thoughts on some of the stuff he said, Coach G?
Well, I mean, I agree with a bunch of the stuff. I'm actually dealing with some of those points now where you talked about key players and everybody have to live by the same standard, and if you can't be afraid to lose a game just for to hold your standards in place, and I'm currently going through that where if you don't do that, if you don't treat every single kid equally, I mean, as far as reprimanding and pulling from a game and this, that, and the third, and I'm kind of a believer in if you're coaching your team, you can pull that player out and still be fine. Although some kids are more talented than others, I think that you could pull that kid out and still be fine. But, the other kids pick and choose. Like I have a kid, and I think Friday night, one of our athletic trainer saw that a bunch of the boys had spilled Gatorade on their uniforms, and and he was just saying it in a joking way. And he said, "Hey man, all y'all boys got Kool-Aid on y'all uniforms." And the kids instantly said, "Well, ain't nobody said nothing to him," and he got it on his too. So if you don't treat everybody the same, then you end up with that some sort of dissension and stuff within your team, which, as you put it, which is strange, Coach Hallett, you said your brothers. I love the family concept of a team. If the kids can't buy into the family concept, these are my brothers that are, and I even liken them to an army. We're going to war together. And if I can't count on the person that I'm in the foxhole with, who's supposed to be my brother, then who can I count on? I said, I can't worry about the enemy with a gun and the person in the foxhole with me with a gun too. And I'm not going to win that.
No chance.
There's no way that I win that. So, that definitely coincides with everything. So I'm really in agreement with everything you said there.
Good deal, Coach Kurtz. Coach Kurtz, where your brain at on everything, man? I know you practice all that stuff anyway. So what are some of your thoughts on it?
I think Coach Hallett talked. I mean, he is a disciplinarian. He is a guy who creates structure and holds kids accountable, which is what all great programs do. Looking at Alabama and Nick Saban, Nick Saban is one of the great disciplinarians and holding people accountable and being prepared. And I think of Coach Hallett in the same light. But also, as a coach, you need to differentiate your program. And I think I already know the answer, but I would like to hear your answer, Coach Hallett. Like, what do you think? What makes your program unique or different from other programs, and what really differentiates you guys?
Well, I think from the start of it is that we don't do anything different inside our program, whether in the 7th grade or the 12th grade. We hold all of our kids to the same level of expectation when it comes to what we do on and off the field. We don't dummy it down for our young kids. We don't make excuses because you're young. We expect you to accommodate yourself to figure out a way to get it done. I also think that probably the thing that separates AC4 from a lot of programs is I'm not unwilling to change my style of coaching. I firmly believe that we've won 6 state championships because we've been able to do different things every single time. In 2017, we won a state championship because we stole 130 bases. In 2014, we won a state championship because we fielded it at a 970. So I've never been so structured and believed that I'm such a great coach that we're going to do it this way no matter what. Even if my talent says, Coach, we can't do it like that. You're not fast. We can't steal 130 bags. But if I'm pig-headed and stubborn and keep trying to steal bases with guys that can't steal bases, I'm going to lose a lot of games. So I'm probably on the opposite end of I've adapted to my program, my roster, probably more than anyone around me with the willingness to change what I believe in just because my talent says I can't do it like this.
Yeah,
you got to. Go ahead, Coach. My bad.
That's a great point, Coach Hallett. Where, I mean, and I've been referring you to Coach Saban, but Coach Saban's been a guy 4, 5, 6 years ago who was a defensive guy, and they ran the pro eye, and they were a ball control offense, and he's adapted, and now he's one of the most prolific scoring offenses in the country, and that's something that's definitely impressed me about you, is that you have won in a multitude of ways where you can be a big offense team, where hard hitters with guys like Connor Lewis and Donald Gillespie, who were hitting leading the state in home runs, and then go to a team that was one of the best defensive teams in the country, and we're winning games on stealing bases and hit and run, and that's what great coaches do, is they adapt to their teams. And same thing with Coach Staley. He's always adapted to his personnel, and especially at the high school level where we can't recruit players, so we can't recruit a certain type of player. You got to adapt to the type of talent that you have, and that's what's really differentiated your program and Coach Staley's program, who's always in the mix for the state championship. But another thing that I'd like to talk to you about that I really think makes your program unique is how you teach your core values and your coaching philosophy and your coaching terms and just your style of coaching and your terminology. You've been teaching that to a lot of the kids in the Forest Acres area since they were 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And then when they come to you when they're 13, 14, 15 years old, a lot of that terminology and a lot of those that thought process that you're teaching them is kind of second nature, which I really think that's what differentiates a lot of it takes away from a lot of the teaching time that you have to do with those older kids. And that's something that I've tried to model with my long-term athletic development as far as a strength and conditioning coach. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. There's a book out there called 10 Times. And a player at the University of South Carolina named John Taylor became a really good friend of mine, and we coached together in the summertime. And John actually moved into my house because we were spending so much time together in the summer. And it took about 2 weeks, and John looked at me in the face, and he goes, "I got something I want you to read." I said, "Okay." He goes, "And I know why your team's better than everyone else's." I said, "Okay." And I said, "What do you got?" And he handed me that book, and it's literally called 10 Times. And he said, "You work 10 times harder than everybody else." And yeah, you get paid. You try to financially compensate yourself by running camps and doing different leagues and speaking around the state and stuff like that because you're trying to feed your family. But at the same time, the harder you work down the food chain, the more you gain the benefit in the end. So I give up a lot of my time. My family understands it. I'm on the road a lot. I do a lot of things with younger kids because when they finally do get to me, the teaching that has to go on is almost a relearn versus something new. And the gains you make at practice, but you don't have to teach every single day with skill development, are unparalleled. So I agree with you, Micah. It's been a process. It's taken a long time, but if you're willing to put the time in as a coach and give up certain things in your life, the benefits you can reap at the end are rewarding.
Yeah, I concur. The time you put in is huge. Like you said, we get paid, or they at least tell us that we get paid for it. And but at the end of the day, the more you put in, the more you get out. And that's where most people lose it. As simple as that may sound, that's where the separation comes from, because it's a choice to put more in, and you don't have to. And you can do a very average job for a very long time and sit there and no one will mess with you. But that's what most people want to do. But that rare breed, like yourself, Coach Hallett, is going to go far beyond to give themselves not just a chance to be successful, but to be as good as you possibly can be day in and day out and year in and year out. So that's huge. That's really big. That's really big. Habits. Go ahead, Coach.
No, and it's like Dutch Fork High School and their football program and Tom Knotts. They're not just like, where's Dutch Fork? Northwest Columbia? Northwest Columbia is not just blessed to be the hotbed of high school football players, and they're just naturally bred to be the best high school football players. Forest Acres, South Carolina, is not just naturally bred to be the best baseball players in the area. There's something that happens between the ages of 8 and 13 years old that helps have those kids playing at a higher level than their peers. And I think a lot of it has to do with what Coach Hallett is doing and I don't know. I know Tom Knotts personally, but I don't know his system personally. I think a lot of it has to do with the time that they put these coaches like Coach Hallett and Coach Knotts put in of developing these youth to teach them their system and teach them the fundamentals. So then when they show up in 8th, 9th, 10th grade, they're playing that much faster and they understand the system. And I think that's something that has been something that's really, really, really rubbed off on me and my coaching style and my coaching philosophy and my core values on how I want to develop a strength and conditioning program and develop a program that really works on long-term athletic development. And I don't want these kids showing up to me in 9th grade and I'm just teaching them how to squat. I'm just teaching them how to do a clean, how to do a jerk, how to do a snatch. I want to teach the fundamental movement patterns when they're in 5th grade, in 6th grade, in 7th grade, and have that slow roast process. So now when they come to me in 9th grade, they're already ready to roll. And I mean, I learned that from Coach Hallett, and I'm sure that a lot of coaches like Coach Knotts and Dutch Fork they do that from the sport model. So from me being a strength and conditioning coach, I want to model what they're doing and the greatness that they're doing. And like Coach Hallett just said, like he could very easily say, I'm the AC Flora varsity baseball coach. I'm going to work from 3:30 until 6 p.m. during baseball season, and that's it. But that's not what's going to make you great. Like, he's year-round, and he's there with all his teams from the 7th graders all the way to the 12th graders, and really teaching that long-term athletic development. And I think that's what really makes you unique and set apart. It's not just because Forest Acres has the best baseball players.
Well, I appreciate it, Mike, and I'm going to shout right back at you with FAST every time it comes across the internet, Future Athlete Strength and Stability Training. Is that correct? I know the acronym, I might have misput the words, but the bottom line is that every time it comes across the people at Windermere Prep to sign up for a FAST for ages 5th or 8th grade, and I tell them, if you're not signing up, then you're not serious. So the benefits that kids can get, if they would just realize what's out there and what's actually beneficial, the leaps and bounds are tremendous.
I concur. I've reaped the benefit of that myself, so that's good, man. If we don't really have much more to get into, man, Coach E, you want to get into our shout-outs?
Yeah, man. Did we get? Let's. You want to do the rapid fire?
Well, let's do real quick. I set something up for Coach
for the rapid fire.
I want a quick little rapid fire question and answer with Coach Hallett. Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I was just asking about it. about it.
So
I wasn't in on that part of the production meeting. My fault,
bro. It's in the email, bro.
Rapid fire question and answer. So don't be worried about going too in depth. I know I always talk more than I should. So question number 1. What book would you recommend that every coach or teacher reads?
I'm going to tell you 2 answers. 10 Times and then any book by John Wooden.
I love it. I love it. John Wooden is that dude.
Greatest coach of all time.
Name two people, living, dead, or fictional, that you would like to have dinner with or a conversation with.
Well, the first one's always going to be my mom and dad because they live in New York. I always want to have dinner with them. But if I can't have dinner with mom and dad, I'm going to have to go with Michael Jordan, and I'm going to have to go with Bill Belichick. Just killer instinct as a player that was unparalleled. Coaching success in today's world, it's unparalleled. I'd have to talk to both of them.
Yeah, I'm down with that too. I love Bill Belichick, but I might say Nick Saban ahead of Bill Belichick. You're stranded on a desert island and can only have 3 items with. What do you have?
You know, I'm going to just go out on a limb and throw this out there because I'm going to say I want an 80-year-old bottle of scotch, a rocks glass, and a cell phone to get me off the desert island.
No cigar?
I can only have 3. I got to make sure I can get off the island. Can't drink 80-year-old scotch out of a bottle.
I like it. You know me, Coach E, Coach Staley. We're big sneaker guys. So, Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, or other.
You know, I got a potpourri. I'm not a buyer of shoes like you are, but I do seem to have more Adidas in my collection than I do anything else.
Yeah, Adidas is killing. The young kids love Adidas. And then last one. Favorite quote.
I'm going to give you 2 of them just because I think it's what you're asking me to do. One of them is a Coach Hallett original, and it says, if it's worth your time, it's worth being the best.
Love it.
And the second one is, failing to prepare is preparing to fail by John Wooden. Those are 2 things that I kind of live by on a regular basis. Kids today, Micah, Josh, E, they don't carry value with things like we used to. So if they don't value their time, if they don't value practice, if they don't value their uniform, you're not going to get championship effort out of them every day.
True. Very true.
So, but I definitely want to thank you for having me on. It's been awesome. I've been trying to figure out how to get with you over the holidays. I'm really thankful that you asked me to be here, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
I appreciate getting you on. I mean, you like I've been in contact with you this whole year, and it's not the same not seeing you every day, and you've inspired me to be the best I can, and I appreciate everything you do for this profession for sure.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I miss you too, dog.
Aww.
Yep, it's one of them. 10 years, man. That's a long time together.
Well, go ahead. We'll start with you, Coach Hallett. Any shout-outs?
Every teacher in America that's going back to work tomorrow, man, batten down the hatches and get ready to roll.
Micah, what you got? What you got on your shout-outs?
Yeah, like Coach Hallett said, a shout-out to every teacher, every coach going back to work tomorrow. Hopefully this break has given us some rest and re-energized us, and because it's the best profession to be in, but it's also the most thankless profession to be in. So shout out to everybody who's in it, and I support you and I respect you, and I appreciate everybody that's in our profession.
Josh, what you got?
Have a great year. Finish the school year out strong. Seniors in high school, it's going to be over before you know it. If you're trying to play at the next level, make sure you finish the year out strong academically. You don't want to have the sad face into April, beginning of May, because you don't qualify. So get it done in the classroom. That's all I got.
And I'm gonna end it on a not so much a somber note, but just I had a phone call from a parent this weekend on Saturday, and you know we all feel phone calls from parents when you're talking about playing time, and this parent went in. This is the first time I'd had such a negative conversation with a parent. I mean, I'd had negative conversations, but it was to a level where this parent was like, my son is better than this kid, and my son is better than that kid, and you do my son so wrong. And she ended the conversation with, I'm no longer going to talk to you since it seems like you won't talk to me about playing time. And I told her, I said, it's in our rule book that you signed that we don't discuss playing time. And she said, well, since you won't talk to me, maybe my husband can talk to you, or my stepson can visit your home and talk to you. And my question is that what we have come to Is that what we have come to in today's society when you're talking about at high school athletics? Rather than trying to teach your child a lesson and rather than trying to say, hey, baby, you need to work a little bit harder. You can't bail on this. There's no excuses. It's not the coach's fault. It's got to be something that you're doing. Go ahead, work hard, fight as much as you can fight. If you're on the floor for 5 minutes or you're on the floor for 32 minutes, give it everything you got. And if it's still not good enough, fight some more. Like, what is it that we're teaching our kids about this? About playing time? We talked about it a long time ago. Everybody does not get a trophy. This is not, especially at the varsity level. At the varsity level and college, what really are that conversation I had was very, very forget the threat, because like I tell people all the time, I ain't always wear a suit. It took me a while to get to a suit. I grew up in the streets of Brooklyn. I done been some places and done some things, so that stuff don't bother me. But what bothers me is, so this is okay. This is a norm. And I know I'm not the only coach that's dealt with it. Josh, I'm pretty sure you've dealt with your share of conversations like that. Coach Hallett, in the amount of years you've been doing it, I'm pretty certain you have. And Micah, I'm pretty sure you have. But it has been getting worse and worse and worse and worse over the years. So the shout out I want to give today, and it's the only shout out I'm going to give today, is to the parents that continue to get behind their kids and tell them work harder. Not try to call the coach, not try to figure out a way. The lady even accused me of having sex with one of the parents because the other kid ain't better than her kid. Like, that's how bad that conversation got. And
that's what happens when you're that good looking.
I don't think that. But
Bird box.
But I'm just saying, shouts out to those parents. Like, Josh, I've seen you get on Tal. You know what I'm saying? I've seen you get on Tal. I've seen you get on Jay. You know what I'm saying? Chris, when he was at Liberty and they redshirted him, and he called me and said, Coach, man, I want to come home. I want to transfer. I said, bruh, we ain't transferring. You got to fight that, bruh. Like, you got to fight that. Get on your grind and do what you need to do. And then the very next year as a redshirt freshman started. Right. So shouts out to all those parents, all those mentors, all those coaches who continue to get them kids to fight, to get better, to get what they need to get. And those parents, please, I'm begging you. It's not all about, it seems to me that some parents would rather watch their child on a team, as long as their kid's on the floor, be a part of a team that loses just so their kid's on the floor, rather than be a cog in a winning machine. And that is sad. And that is sad that this is what this community has come to. That is sad that that's what our world has become. And yo, I'm gonna tell you something crazy, Josh. After that conversation, I almost wanted to quit coaching. Like, I was almost like, I think this is when I need to get out. If these are the people that I have to deal with, then I need to get out. And as I got home and I talked to a close friend, I talked to a friend of mine, they said, look at all the lives you've impacted. This may be a couple of people that think like this, but in the grander scheme of things, look at the people that you have impacted. And then that's when I thought, okay, you're right. I'm not going to do that. But it's just sad that that's what some people believe. So my shout out is to the parents that continue to tell their kids to fight and to get better and to work hard. Because like you said, Coach Hallett, your results are commensurate with your work. The work you put in is what you're going to get out. It's result based. It's just whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. So enough said with me. That was just, it was a disturbing conversation I had. I had no idea that I would ever have a conversation like that ever in my life, and it threw me for a loop. It had me in a bad place, but like I said, came out on the other side, and I'm good. So shouts out to those parents that continue to make their kids work and continue to want their kids to be successful, because those are the ones whose kids are going to be successful. But at the end of the day, to join the conversation, hit us up. You can email us at the Staley and English Show. That's the Staley and English Show at gmail.com. Once again, you can catch us on all platforms where you can catch a podcast for free. We are on every single last one, and we've just been submitted to Pandora, so we will be on Pandora soon. So we'll let you know when that is. But as always, keep God first. Everything else will follow. Peace.
Shout out KR Glimpse. Give me some gear.
Oh, shouts.
You're not getting any gear. You weren't a part of that production on me neither. Just like
bruh, y'all gonna get your. Matter of fact, Coach Hallett, what size you wear? Matter of fact, Coach Hallett, what size you wear, Coach Hallett? Coach Hallett.
Double XL.
You wear double XL,
Coach?
Coach?
Wears a medium. Coach Hallett wears medium. Listen.
Double XL.
Coach Hallett, Coach Kurtz, I got some gear for y'all coming, man. Don't worry about the Defy Life.
Hey, hold on.
You gonna say that? I got
Coach
some gear
Hallett,
for y'all, man.
Coach Hallett, Coach Staley will get your gear for you.
Instagram model.
Right, and Coach Hallett, and get your khaki pants ready. I don't know if you demonstrate khaki pants.
We're about to cut this. We're about to cut this off right now.
Khaki pants,
We're about to cut this off right now. We'll holler, man. Y'all stay blessed.
I'm gonna holler at y'all, baby.
All right, peace.
All right. Later, guys.
Peace.
Yes, Brandon.
Hey, yo, Jay hit me up, man. He said we got to record a commercial, yo.
A commercial about what?
About the show. We got to tell what we be talking about and shit.
Oh, Lord. Oh, we talk about everything.
Yeah, so we got to.
What you gonna say?
I don't know. I say some shit like we talk about news and gossip and politics and Black Lives shit and white shenanigans and shit. And how you and your wife be having lesbian sex.
Right, because they need to know that part.
Yeah, they do need to know that part. But what else I need to tell them?
I mean, the name of the show at this point, you know, saying everything else.
Oh yeah, that too.
This is the DJ Blaze Radio Show podcast.